With a roll call,
Barbara Barosa.
James Meyer.
Aziz Assam.
Norma Drummond.
Tara Franco.
Can I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I do have a couple of announcements. All right, first off, our next meetings are going to be April 12th and May 10th. We have added an executive session to the end of this meeting, but we also need to add an additional item that came in, a previous appeal for Mr. Messina came in where he came to us with a survey, but he had requested a side yard variance for for a garage, and he has since put the foundation in, had to get a new survey, and found that his original survey was off, but he came to us with a survey. So with the board's approval, I'd like to add an agenda item to the end of our agenda for Mr. Messina.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. When we get to item let me add by saying, we're going to be, number 7 is not going to be heard this evening. Number 3 is an adjourned public hearing, but we have been requested by the applicant to adjourn it. So if there's anybody here to speak to it, we will open it and hear you, but there's no new information on that one. So at this point, let me start by explaining how the meeting operates. We start with decisions. These are applications that we've already heard, that we've already worked through, already had a public hearing on. We've closed the public hearing. The board now is ready to issue a decision on those. We have 2 of those. Then we have a public hearings, which is an opportunity for neighbors to comment on any application that's come to this board, because we recognize you know these sites better than we do. And then last, we have a couple reviews, which are pretty much the first time we have seen these applications before us. We do have 1 set of minutes to approve. We have the minutes from February 9th as amended. There were very, very few amendments to those minutes. So do I have a motion to
So
approve
moved.
those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. All right, so at this point, we'll jump right into the agenda. We have decision, Appeal 3772, Rom, Madeline and Steve Rom, 4 Dillon Court, Hopewell Junction, are requesting a 7-foot sideline variance for a proposed in-ground pool pursuant to Section 194-95 of the zoning ordinance. Would somebody like to offer the,
All right, this is appeal number 3772 for Madeline and Steve Rom for a 7-foot sideline variance for proposed in-ground pool pursuant to Section 194-95 of the zoning ordinance, located at 4 Dillon Court, Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by zoning board member Barbara Barosa. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 7-foot sideline variance for a proposed in-ground pool, and whereas this action is a Type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 24th, 2016, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on, is that the right date?
No.
the legal notice in this one is going to be wrong. The legal notice in this one would have been January.
Right. Good catch.
Okay. It would have been January.
January 14th was the review.
Right, so it would have been 27th.
January 27th?
Yes.
So whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on January 27th, 2016, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 9th, 2016, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that This application by Madeline and Steve Rom, 4 Dillon Court, Hopewell Junction, and Rainbow Pools, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 7-foot sideline variance for proposed in-ground pool pursuant to Section 194-95 of the Town of East Fishkill zoning ordinance. Section 194-95 is entitled Private Swimming Pools and Tennis Courts, and subsection C provides, C, setback requirements. All swimming pools and/or tennis courts shall be set back from lot lines at least 25 feet from side and rear lot lines. Such pool and/or tennis courts shall not be located in any required front yard. This appeal was the subject of 2 reviews held on December 8, 2015, and January 14, 2016, and a public hearing held on February 9, 2016, when this board closed the public hearing and reserved decision. At the 2 reviews and 1 public hearing, this board learned the history of the applicant's lot and their plans for placing an in-ground pool on this lot. Specifically, at the 2 reviews, the board requested certain information from the applicant's representative, but the information was never provided to this board for the proposed free-form-shaped lagoon pool, which was 18 feet by 29 feet by 35 feet. 1, the distances from the pool to the septic tanks and well. 2, the dimensions for and distances to the patio and second-story deck. 3, the distance from the proposed pool to the neighboring house. 4, a plan that showed the lagoon pool rotated to reduce or eliminate any variance. And 5, whether an adjustment could be made to the size or shape of the pool to reduce or eliminate any variance. It was represented to the ZBA that the applicants exhibited an unyielding adherence to their free-form-shaped lagoon pool, 18 feet by 29 feet by 35 feet, and did not show any flexibility to this board in placing and building their pool to reduce or eliminate the 7-foot variance requested of this board. A good summary of the information requested from the applicants and the applicant's pool contractor can be found in the minutes from the public hearing on February 9, 2016. Chairwoman Drummond explained that the board spent a couple of meetings working with Mr. Todd from Rainbow Pools on the application. This is an odd-shaped lot. The board understands that Mrs. Rom is looking to install a free-form-shaped pool. It is not the regular rectangular pool. It is rather large. The dimensions of the pool are 18 feet by 29 feet by 35 feet. The board also understands that the property to the left has not been developed, so that there is not a neighbor there yet. The land is in bankruptcy, so there is probably not a potential for a lot line realignment. Mrs. Rom said that they did look into that, but because of the situation with the lot, there is no one to sign off on it. Chairwoman Drummond said that there was a discussion on whether it could be moved closer to the deck, but for safety reasons, it would not be good to move it closer. The board acknowledges that there are septic tanks to the side. The board asked for measurements on how close they were, but the board did not get that information. The board also asked if the shape of the pool could be turned and was told that Mr. and Mrs. Rom were not interested in doing that. The board agreed to conduct a public hearing and hear from neighbors to see if there were any concerns. Chairwoman Drummond asked if there was anything else that Mrs. Rom wished to add. There was nothing. Mrs. Rom said that there was always part of the original plan to put in the pool. They spoke to the engineer, but nothing could be done. Mr. Hassan felt it was possible to rotate it a little bit. The board was not asking that it be moved, but to rotate it a little bit. Chairwoman Drummond said that the board was trying to eliminate the need for a variance. Mr. Hassan asked Mrs. Rom to come forward to see what he was talking about. Mrs. Rom said that she does not build pools for a living, so she wasn't going to bother. Mr. Hassan said that Mr. Todd had already explained that this is what is wanted, and that is what is being requested. Mr. Todd added that the board needs to see the hillside. It is just making more excavation and pushing the pool somewhat closer to the house. Mrs. Rom said that this is a hillside and that there's another hillside that comes in from the side. They are trying to utilize the flat area where it comes in. Chairwoman Drummond explained that the setback line is 25 feet. There is clearly room for a patio, etc., and that is why the board is asking to turn it to reduce the request for a 7-foot variance. There is no question that a pool can be put in there, but it may not be the shape of the pool that is wanted. In reviewing any area variance application, the ZBA is required to review the balancing test and the 5 factors as recited in New York State Town Law, Section 267-B3B. B, in making its determination, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. In making such determination, the board shall also consider, 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. In looking at the 5 factors, this board concludes as follows. 1, an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, as it would give a sideline variance contrary to what the town has intended for pools. One of the negative consequences of pools is that their use generates noise by both the users enjoying the recreation and the motorized pool equipment needing to run for several hours each day. It was discussed with the applicant that the town board has changed the setback requirement in 2001 from a minimum of 10 feet to the required 25 feet, being mindful of the noise impact of pools on neighbors. 2, the benefit sought by the applicants can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicants to pursue other than an area variance, for example, by the relocation and/or reduction of the pool size. The point is, the applicants have options available other than pursuing the requested sideline variance. 3, the requested variance is substantial. The variance percentages are substantial when viewed from the perspective that the town rarely grants a variance for the 25-foot setback in Section 194-95. 4, the board believes that the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or zoning district. In short, the applicant's pool will be on top of the neighbor's property. 5, the alleged difficulty is clearly self-created. The difficulty arises from the applicant's proposed construction of their pool, violating the required setback of 25 feet. The applicants were clearly aware of the setback requirement when they submitted their application. The resulting pool location is obviously not consistent with the town code. The applicants have room to construct a pool within the required setbacks. The size and shape of the desired pool is what is requiring the need for a variance. It should be noted that the ZBA is concerned about other issues that would result if this board were to grant the sideline variance. A, the detrimental precedent that such granting would result in and have effect on hundreds of pools in the town of East Fishkill, in place now or to be placed in the future. B, the disregard that such granting would have upon the town board's legislation and legislative intent regarding the 25-foot setback required by Section 194-95. As previously noted, previous zoning regulations required only a 10-foot setback, but that setback was expanded in 2001 to recognize the importance of additional distance between neighbors, especially those with in-ground pools. C, the necessary proof under New York State Town Law for a variance for the pool was not presented by the applicants to the board. Therefore, for all the reasons recited herein, the board hereby denies the 7-foot sideline variance sought by the applicants. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Abstain.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara? Aye. Barbara?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Okay, so we're all set on that one. All right, item number 2, I believe the board needs to have some discussion with our attorney on this. So again, with a motion from the board, I'm going to ask that we move this to the end of the agenda. the dilemma is that, under state law, we're required to make a decision within 62 days, and our April meeting goes beyond the 62 days. So but an issue came up during the course of the public hearing that I believe we need to discuss with our attorney. So I'm going to ask for a motion to move this to the end of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And we're already planning to go into executive session at the end, so we'll cover this during that executive session as well. All right, so at this point, we're going to go to the adjourned public hearings. Item number 3, Appeal 3731, Kenna, Joseph Kenna, 538 Hosner Mountain Road, Stormville, is requesting a 30-foot rear line variance for an existing garage with a landing and stairs, an 11-foot rear line variance for an existing in-ground pool, a 13-foot rear line variance for an existing pool patio, a 3-foot rear line variance for existing pool equipment, a 19-foot rear line variance for an existing swing set, a 7-foot rear line variance for an existing 10-foot by 10-foot frame deck, and a 45-foot rear line variance for a proposed 34-foot by 22-foot detached garage pursuant to Sections 194-93, 194-95, and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to reconvene the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so again, as I stated earlier in the meeting, the applicant has requested that we adjourn this to next month. He is in discussions with the neighboring property owner about whether he's going to actually purchase the property next door and whether he might have other options. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak anything related to the application from Joseph Kenna? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn this to the April meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we're on item number 4, Appeal 3761, DuBlank, Theodore Blank, 4 Brook Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 23-foot sideline variance for an existing 12-foot by 20-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 20-foot by 2-foot patio pursuant to Sections 194-93 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I do not see the DuBlanks here. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right in front of me. I do see you here. Okay, so we did have a chance to review your appeal or your application last month with a review. You have a shed, well, actually, let's start with, you have property that has significant flooding issues that really limits your ability to put a shed just anywhere on your property within the setbacks. And so the area that you showed us, because you gave us pictures that show some of the existing flooding that's happened there, you've really put it as far as you can. It's right outside that flooding. There is a little patio right next to this shed, so that were the shed that needs the variance. So we said we would deal with that as well. That patio's been there as well as the shed has been there for many, many years. And so, the opportunity to move it, again, in your case, is very limited just because of the nature of your lot and the flooding that you experience there regularly during, the spring, during the winter, et cetera. So is there anything else you wish to add? Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
I'm good.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on the application from Theodore DuBlank, 4 Brook Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 23-foot sideline variance for an existing 12-foot by 20-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 20-foot by 2-foot patio? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here we go.
In reference to appeal number 3761 by the applicant Theodore DuBlank, in reference to a 23-foot sideline variance for an existing 12-foot by 20-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 20-foot by 2-foot patio pursuant to Sections 194-93 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Property located at 4 Brook Lane, Hopewell Junction, zoning district R1, the resolution being offered by zoning board member James Meyer. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 23-foot sideline variance for an existing 12-foot by 20-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 20 feet by 2-foot patio, whereas this is a type 2 action under SEQA where no further action is required, whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 24, 2016, And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on March 8, 2016, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the shed has been in this location for many years, and the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the property is bordered by the Fishkill Creek to the rear, and at times the creek encroaches into the applicant's property, limiting the area where the shed could be placed. The 20-foot by 2-foot patio is a walkway to the shed, which is needed in order to get to the shed. The variance requested is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now there be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Theodore Dublanc for Brook Lane, Hopewell Junction for a 23-foot sideline variance for the existing 12-foot by 20-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance for the existing 20-foot by 2-foot patio pursuant to Sections 194-93 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Kara? Aye. Barbara?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your motion carries, so you're all set. Okay? Have a good evening. All right, item number 5, Appeal 3775 Roland. Todd Roland, 14 Milltown Road, Holmes, is requesting a 59-foot front line variance for a proposed 1,200-square-foot garage, which would be 30 foot by 40 feet, and a 241-square-foot variance as the footprint of the existing house is 1,599 square feet, and in accordance with Section 194-107C and Note Number 11 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Mr. Rowland. Oh, okay, thank you. Didn't see you back there.
When I come to the,
Yeah, come on up, just in case. All right, so we did have a chance to review your application. You do have a single-family house with an approved accessory apartment there. You commented to us that, well, you're on a corner lot, so you have Milltown Road on one, and you have Leetown, what is it?
52.
Sorry, Route 52. I'm thinking of a different one. You have Route 52 on your other side. You have a very weird-shaped lot.
Very
It's-
weird shape.
It's like very narrow along the one side, and then it L's back behind, kind of behind you, but that L is essentially not usable. It's not wide enough to do anything with your property. So while you'll have the appropriate acreage to have a lot, you don't really have a whole lot of usable area.
Very true.
And both of the corner lot, both of the streets that you are on are state or county highways, and so that requires the 100-foot setback, which is really further limits your ability to put anything on there. We did talk about the fact that you do have an existing garage, right, on with your house?
Well, there is a garage.
Right,
there,
there's a
yes.
garage there, but again, because of what you've talked about needing to store in this garage, you really would like to be able to clean up
yes.
your yard and be able to.
Keep all my stuff in a nice shed.
Except,
Garage,
well, in a
excuse me.
garage, yes, it is going to be a garage because it will be licensed vehicles. And we talked about you didn't have a curb cut, really, you just have a kind of a makeshift driveway, so you're going to formalize that.
I will have to, I guess, get a regular driveway coming
Right.
in. I guess you have to, whatever the requirement is from the town to make
For the curb
a
cut.
apron.
Right.
I guess is what they use.
All right, so again, with the idea is you're going to formalize and clean up what you have there, be
Yes.
able to put as much as you can in storage. And I think that was pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to add? And your limitations, again, because of the nature of the lot, the shape of it, and this two state roads, you really have very limited options here. Any comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
Presume it was discussed, I wasn't here unfortunately last time, but there's the reason for the such size?
Because he took us through all of the things that he was talking about wanting to store in there.
I currently do have the same size
Size
shed
in a different
someplace else.
location, right.
Different
Okay,
location.
and that's full at this point.
Let me tell you, you never have enough room, sorry.
Yes.
And again,
So yes, we did go through the nature of what would be stored in there and why the need for the size of it,
Okay.
so.
And it's truly an odd-shaped, L-shaped
Yeah.
lot.
It's a very weird lot. Never
Very
seen anything
strange.
like that.
Correct.
So, all right, with that being said, and then no further questions from board members?
No further questions.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against the request from Todd Rowland, 14 Milltown Road Homes, requesting a 59-foot front line variance for a proposed 1,200-square-foot garage and a 241-square-foot variance as the footprint of the existing house is 1,599 square feet? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Tara?
Appeal number 3775 for the applicant is Todd Rowland. Name of the project. It's a 59-foot front line variance for a proposed 1,200-square-foot detached garage, 30 feet by 40 feet, and a 241-square-foot variance, as the footprint of the existing house is 1,599 square feet, pursuant to Section 194-107C and Note 11 of the zoning ordinance, located at 14 Milltown Road in Holmes, zoning district B1 and R3. Resolution offered by zoning board member Tara Franco. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 59-foot front line variance for a proposed 1,200-square-foot detached garage and a 241-square-foot variance, as the footprint of the existing house is 1,599 square feet. And whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA, no further action is required. Whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 24, 2016. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on March 8, 2016. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the structure will match the color of the house and other properties in the area have detached garages. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the property is located on the corner of a state road and a county road, both of which require a 100-foot setback, and the lot is a narrow L shape, limiting the buildable area for any garage. The variance requested is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request for Todd Rowland, 14 Millertown Road, Holmes, for a 59-foot front line variance for a proposed 1,200-square-foot garage and a 241-square-foot variance, as the footprint of the existing house is 1,599 square feet, pursuant to Section 194-107C and Note 11 of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your motion carries, so you're all set.
Thank you.
Okay? Have a good evening. All right, item number 6, Appeal 3776 Larson, Robert Larson, 82 Van Black Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 582-square-foot variance in order to build a 1,500-square-foot detached garage, which would be 30 feet by 50 feet, as the footprint of the applicant's existing dwelling is 1,530 square feet pursuant to Section 194-107Z of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so last month, we had an opportunity to review your application as well. Similar to the previous applicant, you do have an existing garage on your house, but you have a car collection that is currently in a different location that you'd like to be able to move this property.
Yes.
In your case, you have a very, very long lot, so you actually do have the ability to put the garage on your own property, but, you know, where it's going to be hidden from your neighbors, it's going to be quite a bit back, but you'll extend your existing driveway, essentially going straight back to it.
Correct.
But it's because of the nature of the size of it, due to your request because of the car collection itself and how many vehicles you're looking to store there.
Yes.
That's really the reason. It doesn't make sense to turn it around and put it sideways and eliminate the variance.
Not necessarily, well, the variance, I think, is for the size.
Right.
Not
Well,
necessarily
yeah,
the setbacks.
right.
It's within the setbacks of the property lines.
So it's not changing that, it's really to deal with the amount of vehicles that
Amount
you're
and
looking to
size,
store there.
correct,
You also brought to our attention that your neighbors, or at least one of your neighbors is a relative, so.
Right, well, past relative.
Past
It used to be-
relatives, right.
Used to be the family home. Yeah.
Right, so, you know, so they appeared to be in, well, your neighbors appeared to be in support, but again, we did have to have the public hearing,
Of course.
so. Anything you wish to offer?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, any questions or comments from board members?
I'm good.
Told you we asked the question about what the garages were for. All right, so is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Robert Larson, 82 Van Black Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 582-square-foot variance in order to build a 1,500-square-foot detached garage, as the footprint of the applicant's existing dwelling is 1,530 square feet? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is appeal number 3776. Applicant is Robert Larson, requesting a 582 square foot variance in order to build a 1,500 square foot detached garage, as the footprint of the applicant's existing dwelling is 1,530 square feet pursuant to section 194-107C of the zoning ordinance. The location of the project is 82 Van Wyck Road, Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by zoning board member Aziz Hassan, whereas the applicant has applied for a 582 square foot variance in order to build a 1,500 square foot detached garage, as the footprint of the applicant's existing dwelling is 1,530 square feet, and whereas the action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas a legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 24, 2016, and whereas the zoning board of appeals held a public hearing on March 8th, 2016, and whereas the zoning board of appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as it will be located behind the house and shielded by the neighbor, from the neighbors by the trees. The desired results cannot be achieved by some other means. The variance requested is not substantial, as the applicant has a large rear yard and would like to use a space to store his car collection. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals hereby approves a request by Robert Larson, 82 Van Wyck Road, Hopewell Junction, for a 582 square foot variance in order to build a 1,500 square foot detached garage, as the footprint of the applicant's existing dwelling is 1,530 square feet pursuant to section 194-107C of the zoning ordinance. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows. Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara? Aye. Barbara? And myself, aye. So your motion carries. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Okay? Have a good evening. All right, so that is it for our public hearings. At this point, we're going to move on to reviews. There's no opportunity for public comment at this time on any of these reviews, because actually, for all of these are the first time we're going to see them. And the reason that the public hearings go so smoothly is because we spend a lot of time on them at the reviews. All right, so with that being said, let's go to item we're not going to hear item number 7 at all, so we're going to go to item number 8, which is Appeal 3777. I want to say your name right, Pereira? That's me. Okay. Good job. George and Gina Pereira, 45 Tina Lane, Hopewell, are requesting a variance to allow the parking of a commercial vehicle, a tow truck, at their home pursuant to section 194-52 of the zoning ordinance. All right, so come on up to the microphone, please. And, you know, we're going to just start with some simple questions, just to understand. It sounds like, based on what came attached, that there was a complaint, somebody complained about,
Yeah, it was parked in the driveway. There's
Okay.
a neighbor that can't even see the truck.
okay,
I actually have 3 letters from the neighbors that can see the truck that
Okay.
have no problem with it.
explain the nature of the business. Again, the zoning code allows you to come to the zoning board and you're allowed 1 commercial vehicle in your yard with the permission of the zoning board.
Yes.
We're going to ask you to move the microphone a little closer, or stand a little closer to it. There you go.
Sorry, I'm
Thank
short.
you. That's okay. So if it's work or employment related, we do have the ability to grant this request. It would be subject, John, correct me, It is going to be subject to this specific owner, this specific occupation?
Yes? that's-
Okay.
Yeah, we own a towing
That's-
company.
Yeah, that's the way I read the statute. It has to be for an employer,
Right.
resident property owner,
Right.
Yeah.
part of employment.
So
It's my
can you explain the
husband's truck.
nature of why it's more convenient for you to have it in your driveway as opposed to wherever the business is?
We own Mystic Towing. It's a local towing company. We tow for AAA. We do have a lot in town. We do have an office in town. My husband is the only employee, and that's our business. That's what he does. It's the vehicle that we need. We have a time limit to respond to calls. We're trying to get on the East Fishkill Police Department. We have a 20-minute turnaround time. He has to drive to the lot, start the truck up. There's 20 minutes right there, we lose the account. So it's our business. That's our livelihood is that truck. It's only one truck. It's very well maintained. It's clean. It's not, we're not going to have any vehicles at the house. We're just going to have the tow truck there ready for him to start it and go on his run.
Can you give us a
Just the-
picture of it, how big it is, and
Yeah, it's a
It's a
flatbed.
it's a flatbed. It's
it's a
20
flatbed? Okay.
It's 21 foot, I think. And it's parked along the tree line between my neighbor's house. I actually brought my neighbor with me that borders the house.
Okay, so one of the concerns would be a tow truck as you back up, probably.
They're off.
Okay,
The
probably
lights are
has
not
the
on
beep,
and
beep, beep,
Nope,
you know?
it's turned off once he gets
Okay.
on Tina Lane.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
And you,
that's,
and you back it in, so
yeah.
when you're leaving, you don't have that if it's an early morning call.
He doesn't turn any lights on and the
Okay.
the alerts are off.
all
As
right,
a
so no lights,
courtesy.
no sound,
Nothing. He has his headlights on, that's about it.
right, obviously, yeah.
Is it a diesel truck?
Yes, and it's not loud. It's a 2005, so the newer trucks are not as loud as the older trucks are. I mean, it is a diesel, but it's not obnoxious.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the neighbor that you brought, is that the neighbor when you're facing your house that's on the right-hand side, closest to the
No,
driveway?
left-hand side. She shares the driveway.
When you're looking at the house, she's on the
When you're
left?
looking at the house, she's on the right-hand side.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's the
She
one.
shares the driveway
Well,
with you?
there's a line of trees between us.
Oh, okay.
Do you want the letters from the other neighbors that aren't here?
We can certainly, generally what we do is we'll read them into the record at the
Okay.
public hearing, because they'll
Okay.
become a permanent part of the record.
Okay.
So you can give them to us now, and we'll read them next month, or you can hold on to them till next month. It doesn't really matter. That's fine, super.
And just remind us if we forget it next month.
Yeah, we're going to want to actually read them into the record.
And I would just ask, I don't know how exactly we're going to do it, but I think what we need is the size of the truck more precisely, so.
21-foot, 2005 Chevy 5500 Kodiak.
Okay. But is there a
That's
gross
pretty
vehicle?
precise.
A gross vehicle weight on it?
18,250 pounds.
Boy, you all of a sudden, you know all that stuff.
I'm a car person. I'm a gearhead, I know
Sounds
this
like you're a
stuff.
truck person.
I like Chevys.
Me too. So, because I think my suggestion when we approve it is for a truck this size or smaller in case they get another one. We don't
Yeah, no, we
obviously
won't be
want
getting
a,
anything larger than this. This is it.
Yeah, we don't want a real big one going in, but if they have to buy a
But
new
yeah,
one,
no,
it's
we're not
that
going
size.
any
or
Car is
smaller.
The truck is already 10 years old, so
Yeah.
you're
You can't go
likelihood
any
of replacing.
bigger with the size of it's a medium duty. We're not doing heavy duty towing, so we don't need anything bigger than that.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm just saying, I think we should, I don't want you to lock into this exact size, so it might be slightly smaller if you get a new one or something.
If
So this
anything,
size
it would
or
be
small.
smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I want to
It would be a
have,
wrecker or anything.
give you flexibility to get something, but not anything, not that you would, but,
Yeah, no, this is my husband's truck. We spent a lot of money on the wrap. He's not going anywhere. He's not allowed to buy another truck. Not anytime soon.
All right, but again, an important thing is no lights and no sound.
No, we wouldn't
for
do that.
impacting the
We're
neighbors.
respectful of our neighbors. We wouldn't do anything like that.
Yeah, again, one of the things that I was thinking about is like a range so that, not to exceed certain gross weight or not to exceed certain dimensions. So I think is better because as the technology changes, it becomes quieter. But at the same time, you can go bigger.
Yeah, no,
So I just want to,
You
like
would
with the
need
range
different
not to exceed
licenses.
certain, in case we do grant it, so we need to have some kind of
yeah,
a
no.
thing.
The
And we would
bigger
look-
the truck, it would be a heavy-duty truck, and we're not licensed to do heavy-duty.
Correct. But again, what we would need is from you to say, well, not to exceed to this way, because you are in the field, you understand this
Of course.
terminology. And so if you give us a laundry list of not to exceed certain dimensions that
Okay.
will work for you, then it will be easier for us to work with.
Okay, definitely.
Apparently, according to the complaint, you were parking it, or your husband was parking on just weekends, but you're looking for it to be there.
Well, we first had a complaint months ago that it was parked there during the week,
Okay,
so we moved it to the lot.
okay,
He gets most of his tows on Friday and Saturday night. He's coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning, he's got to drive down the road, drop it off, he's already exhausted, and bring it back home. So he was leaving it Friday night into Sunday morning and dropping it back off. They complained again.
okay. All right, but your expectation is you're
Is
looking
to have
for
it at
it
the house.
every night of the week?
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes life a little bit easier.
Just want to be sure,
Yeah.
that's all.
When you have it at the house, does it have a vehicle on it?
No,
No.
no, we drop the vehicles off at the lot and then bring the truck back to the house.
Again, because you're not looking for a home business.
No, we have a lot, you know where Hopewell Easy Storage is?
Yeah.
Doug has the lots in the back, and we have an office back there also.
Okay, yeah. Just making it clear for our
No,
review.
no, I don't want
Yeah.
anybody coming to my house, we're good.
All right, okay for schedule a
Motion
public
to
hearing?
advertise, yeah.
Motion to advertise, second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we will see you next month. Pam's going to give you the information about putting a sign, so we'll advise your neighbors,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
And if you want to bring letters, additional
Yeah,
letters or
any
neighbors,
letters.
yeah.
okay, I'll bring the whole town.
Fine.
Do I go now, or?
Jake, you
Yeah,
speak to
Pam will give you
now.
your instructions, she's at the end there. All right, item number 9, Appeal 3778 Capelli, Alfred Capelli Jr., representing Mary and Mark Duvivier, sorry, I don't want to say the name wrong. Okay, is requesting a variance to build on an undersized lot, .73 acres, which was created prior to zoning, located at 8 Ninham Avenue, Wappingers Falls, pursuant to Section 194-103 of the zoning ordinance. With your permission, I'd like to also take number 10 at the same time. Al, they are...
Absolutely,
They
absolutely.
are
Yes.
absolutely related to each other, so...
You
so we-
multitask?
So we will also be hearing or working on appeal number 3779, which is number 10, also Capelli, Alfred Capelli Jr., representing Mary and Mark
The Vivrier,
Dufresnoy, thank you, is requesting a variance to build on an undersized lot, .67 acre, which was created prior to zoning, located at 9 Ireland Avenue, Wappingers Falls, pursuant to Section 194-130 of the zoning ordinance. All right, so
okay.
first time we're seeing this, take us through the reason
Absolutely.
for your request.
Alfred Capelli, architect. We submit a little a package for each one of those with some plot plans, with some surveys, with a little narrative. This is in the Breadview subdivision, if you will, created in about 62, 63. All of the lots there are .6, .7, .8 acres. We have 2 remaining lots. The DeVerveries have owned those lots for many, 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 many years. One is .80, one is .66. So I guess it's about time that they're looking to sell the 2 lots. Okay, so lo and behold, there's a gentleman who wants to buy the 2 lots and construct 2 single-family homes, 1 on each lot. You have a little illustration of a site plan for each one of those lots, showing that the setbacks are easily met. I mean, that's a non-issue. We still have to get these Board of Health approved, okay, so we haven't gone that far yet. We're here first to go through this process. And the next step is the Health Department. Should you give us your blessing and we move forward here? So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. They're back to back. They are owned by the same party, if you will. One is facing Ninham, one is facing Ireland. So we're talking
Right.
about they're adjacent to one another. We know all about the adjacent lots owned by the same person, yada yada yada. We know that. That's why we're here this evening.
Okay, yeah, so the code is very specific about any lot held in single or separate ownership, okay, prior to the adoption of this chapter, so obviously before this zoning went into play, has the ability to get a variance to be buildable with meeting certain setbacks.
Correct.
The problem comes into the fact that these lots are not separate ownership. They are owned by the same person. So John, I need you to help me out here. Where is the caveat that, or the issue that we're running into is that it's not separate ownership.
So you're supposed to join them is the theory.
Right, it appears from the code, the way the code's written, is that the expectation is that it's gonna be one buildable lot, oversized lot. And understand that I know many of the lots in the neighborhood are undersized, however, not all of them are.
Not all of them,
The
but a
ones-
majority of them are.
Lots immediately adjacent to these are in fact 1.82.
Correct.
And, sorry, I gotta look at the other application to get the size of the other one. So, there are other lots that are
Sure.
big.
And that's why we're here. I mean, the zoning ordinance says that you need a 50-foot setback back in the front, and if I'm coming before you for a variance of 45 feet, it's because I'm looking for relief from your zoning ordinance. So here is an example of that relief we're looking to seek this evening, saying, what, not that what harm is going to happen here. We know the genesis of some of these laws. We have lake communities in East Fishkill where the lots are very, very tiny. You can see the combining of those lots to create a substantial lot in those instances. Here I have two near 1 acre parcels. So I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination that we be allowed to build two single-family homes on the two created lots 40 or 50 years ago. So, of course, my opinion.
Are these the two last lots in that whole neighborhood?
Are they the last two remaining lots? I don't know, to be honest with you. There may be more, not owned by these people. These are the only two that these people own. But there may be another lot or two. I didn't research those, but I certainly could find out.
But I guess the bottom line is, John, since it's so specific to the ZBA can consider it when it is separate
Yeah, that's the question.
Well,
The
the-
power
and
to do
a
anything.
single and separate ownership, I'm not sure we even have the authority to consider this, do
You have
we?
the authority to do
Does- it
any
does.
Well,
relief in the zoning ordinance.
on,
My
let's-
opinion.
We don't have carte blanche like that.
Yeah, I don't,
That's why you're here.
that's why he's here.
Generally,
That's why our attorney is
We
here.
have to take a look at the language of the statute, as the chairperson tells us. But generally, what happens, you have the merger doctrine in many towns, where you have the same ownership. You have one non-conforming, one conforming, and they merge, and people are upset, they find out the smarter person puts it in different identities.
Which is
So that becomes an issue, yes.
Which is located.
And I don't want to say, we discussed that in the planning office prior to this. Not that we want to trick anybody, but
Right.
if they were in two separate ownerships
Ownership, then it's
tomorrow,
clear.
and I came
Right.
back next month, are we, the intent of the law is being circumvented, but
Right.
you can't hold me to those same standards any longer. So it's kind of crazy to say, come back, Al, sell one lot to somebody else, and then come back and you have two separate owners, and we'll grant you the variance. I'm looking to skip that step.
And some town merger doctrines have it, if it merges, you can't then try to unmerge it by doing what you're saying.
But I'm not merging them. I don't want to merge them.
Some statutes say when you have a non-conforming and conforming in same identity, they merge. And you can't say, okay, let's just do one deed out. They've merged at that point and they've become one. It's, somebody have to watch.
But they're not merged now. She's been paying for 30-some-odd years, two tax parcels, two tax bills for 30, 40 years. She doesn't even know about
I guess
these
that's
issues.
it.
She's going to be very upset when the time comes that I tell her she's only going to have one lot after all of these years she's thinking about, but that's beyond me.
And that's
You won't see Al Capelli again
Right.
if this doesn't go, you know what I'm saying?
I
We've
hear
been
you.
there before.
See you in another
So-
forum.
I'm sorry?
We'll see you in another forum.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you want me to change the names into two separate people? Is that what you're telling me to do? And then come back next month? I mean, again,
So where does the owner live in an
Tennessee.
adjoining residence?
They used to live in that neighborhood from the inception. So, and
Do
they
they
live in
live there
Tennessee
now?
now. They live in Tennessee. They're absentee owners.
They're absentee owners, they still own an
No,
adjoining
no,
property?
they own those lots. No, they don't own a house.
Have you researched the town records to see if you have a similar case that gave relief to your applicants? Can you think of any?
In what circumstance?
In the town of East Fishkill, a similar circumstance to what you have here. Are you aware of any applications that have similar circumstance and
No,
the relief was granted?
No, with the same lot, owned, adjacent lots by the same person, I don't know of any.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have allowed undersized lots to be built in.
True.
In East Fishkill. We're paying the penalty here for the same person owning two lots.
But I think it would be worth your while to research that issue.
Yeah, I would suggest that because unfortunately, they are right next to each other, so they can be merged, they can be, and they're co-owned. I mean, yes, they're
Next to a much larger lot as well.
correct. And again, the next, again, you have a lot, you got a 1.82 acre lot, which that person can easily,
It's big, too. I just
yeah, they
don't-
can ask, yeah, and the next one is 4.2 acres. So, I mean, they can request subdivision to 0.75 or something like
I
that.
don't think they can, Aziz, I don't think they can create a new subdivision
No,
today.
no, what I'm saying is that because, in your case, I mean, it's a single owner who owns both lots, even though they bought it individually, I guess, and they've been paying taxes for individual lots, but they're next to each other. So I think as the counselor mentioned, our town attorney mentioned, you should do some research to see if we have had a similar situation in the past and how we have addressed it. And yes, you're right, I mean, if there were two separate owners being sold to two separate entities, then we wouldn't have this issue. But because they are next to each other and and the town is trying to create, lots that,
Eliminate undersized lots.
Well, again,
We hear
within
you.
the context of the neighborhood, guys, you got smaller lots, now you're creating a bigger lot, okay? Does the controller and John Hickman want to see two tax bills for two houses or one tax bill from one house on a slightly oversized lot? I mean, again, you know me, I'm a pragmatist. It doesn't make sense. We're going by the letter of the law. But what kind of makes sense in this particular case? We'll change ownership next week and come back next month, but we've kind of cheated the system there. You don't want me to do that, so.
yeah,
But
but
if that's
again,
what you want me to do, we'll do that.
okay, again, you've got an adjacent homeowner that's 1.82 acres, other one is 4.2 acres. So you have got two neighbors right next to each other, and you are 0.8 or smaller, and you got two neighbors at 1.82 and 4.2 acres. So again, the character of neighborhood is kind of,
It's mixed.
Well, one of them is a big old colonial, maybe the original home that this subdivision was created around. In fact, that is the case in the house immediately to the right on Ireland. Okay, so that is in fact the case. I mean, you're penalizing us because there are two lots in the neighborhood that is slightly oversized. I could probably get letters from them tomorrow to say, no problem, let them knock themselves out. But, so you're telling me you don't want us to go forward with this, you want us to go in a different direction, and,
How big are the lots to the other side of you?
they're all the tiny,
I know,
lots.
are they slightly
They look like they're
smaller than yours?
less than the .8, but more than
Yeah.
the .6, 7.
Yeah, but whatever the standards were
Oh.
back in 1963, they all had to meet those standards.
Understood. We
Right.
understand. We're just
Sure, no, I
trying to
know.
make sure that we can in fact grant you what you're asking, and that's the
okay.
dilemma that we're running
Problem is
against.
The reading of the statute, that
So,
is the problem.
But I still believe that you have the power and the authority to grant relief. That's the purpose of the zoning board of appeals, is to,
You're saying from any section regardless of the
absolutely,
statute,
100%. If I need, if,
I understand that argument.
right, I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
That's the general purpose of the ZBA, yes. You're right.
So I'm asking for relief on that one statute, that one.
Better look it up and give it to us.
I'm just wondering if we have any factual situations that are similar to yours, and where relief has been granted. We have to take a look at it.
Pam is an encyclopedia of knowledge.
She's a
of-
compendium of knowledge.
And she would be the first person I would ask, and she would say yea or nay before I even did any research. She would be my research.
This is,
The flattery.
you're going to have a water company in this area, so we don't have to
Absolutely.
worry about a well.
That's correct.
But there is
That's
still
what I
going
was
to,
wondering.
Town water.
right, so
town
that
water, town water.
helps the situation.
I was wondering
Okay,
that, because the
but-
more customers you have, the less the water system
Well,
costs
it's,
per chance.
Yeah, but
I
Brett
don't know.
views, that water system's been around for so long.
Right.
That's not the issue. What I'm more worried about, again, getting the appropriate distance in between the septic and the
we
wells.
would never be able to do it. If
Right,
you didn't
we
have
don't
town
have
water
that.
available to us and we had to drill a well, I could never have the distance separation between septics and wells.
Right.
And I'd be forced to combine the two lots.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
the
that
problem.
may be addressing more what the intention of this code was
Yes.
dealing with the fact that you need that appropriate separation between septic and well.
I think
and
that was the
the
purpose of
fact
going
that-
to larger lots.
Yeah, the fact that you have public water
See how we're helping
probably
you
helps
out?
your argument.
So I would suggest that you go back, do some research, and come back next month with some
Well,
solid.
I think we can put this out
I think
for
we
a
put it on
public
for
hearing.
public hearing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. And let's, in the meantime, though, we'll have multiple research done just to see, is there any other, it's so specific about
Yeah.
lot held in single and separate ownership. It says it multiple times, and that's what begs the question.
I don't disagree with you, Norman,
Why?
but it's black and white that says 50 feet front
know,
yard is
I know.
the- right? And it's not always 50 feet.
And you
Sometimes
can
it's
meet those
45.
requirements, so that's,
Correct, I meet
I
everything.
hear you. And
So,
the fact
okay.
that it's public water, it's that much less impactful, so I hear you.
So public hearing, which is a great
Motion
step.
for public
Motion to
hearing.
advertise.
Okay,
April.
Second,
thank you.
third.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
We'll see
so
where it
Pam
takes
will
us.
give you,
April
because you're
12th.
going to need signs on both lots, on both
Yes.
streets.
I'll see
Okay.
Pam, I'll see Pam tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay, thank
all
you
right,
very
and
much.
then it would be helpful to hear that this has been done before,
Okay,
Exactly.
and not necessarily combined.
And get us a letter, too, from the neighbor.
thank you very much.
All right, thank you, we'll see you next month. All right, we are going to go into executive session, but
Should we sign the young
But
person's
yes, we
things?
will sign the filled-out forms of the young people who are in our audience, even though they were talking through most of the meeting.
That's because they were busy discussing our efforts.
Yes, so come on up. Anybody at the table here can sign it for you.
Look at, they're taking their time, they must be reluctant to go.
Come on, guys, we have other business to do, so if you want to
Should be a deed.
escape, it's easy.
We can all sign, come on.
We can all sign them, just,
They don't know what meeting they're at, though.
We asked you to
really, we asked you
You
to
didn't
fill
fill
your
it out.
forms out.
Oh, what's today, the 8th?
Door, and it's going to be straight ahead. Out that door over there? Oh, or go around to the other side, all loops around, and it's right over there.
So how many meetings do you have,
There you go.
how many meetings do you have to go to?
All right, there you go.
Really?
Anybody else?
Did you need yours?
He's copying your notes? Oh.
All right,
Good night.
we will come back and do the addition to the agenda that I mentioned before, but we do have to come back anyway. So at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation and also for discussion with our attorney of the Casal decision.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we will be returning. I don't think we'll be very long, okay?